Hello, Tigers. In honor of Hispanic Awareness Month, I have two books here that represent the Mexican culture. The first book is called En Mi Familia, In My Family, by Carmen L. Garza. The second book is called Family Pictures, Cuadros de Mi Familia, by Carmen L. Garza as well. These are two of my favorite books that I enjoy reading, that I enjoyed reading to my students, and that I just enjoy reading in my pastime because it reminds me of my Hispanic culture. It reminds me of the stories that my parents told me when I was a little girl. I'm going to be reading you a couple of stories from this book, En Mi Familia, In My Family, that remind me of my childhood, that remind me of things that we still do today to represent our culture, to keep our heritage alive, and to pass down those traditions to our children. So I'm going to be starting by reading the first story. The first story is called Empanadas. Empanadas. Once every year, my family Paz and my Uncle Beto would make dozens and dozens of empanadas, sweet turnovers filled with sweet potato and squash from their garden. They would invite all the relatives and friends to come over, and you could eat as many as you wanted. They lived in a little one-bedroom house, and every surface in the house was covered with a plate of empanadas. There was no place to sit down. There's Uncle Beto rolling out the dough. Aunt Boss in the yellow dress with the red flowers is spreading in the filling. My mother and father are drinking coffee. That's me in the blue dress. And we make empanadas during the Christmas holiday. And it's just like this. Our family is big, and we're in the kitchen, and it's small, and everybody is trying to cook, and the kids are running around, but we're having a good time. Everybody's laughing. So, this definitely reminds me of even today, and my grandmother. When I was younger, living in Mexico, she would make empanadas. So, this is a tradition that we still do today. The next story that I will be reading is called Birthday Barbecue. This is my sister Mary Jane's birthday party. She's hitting a piñata that my mother made. My mother also baked and decorated the cake. There she is bringing the meat that's ready to cook. My father is cooking at the barbecue, which he designed and built himself. My grandfather is shoveling in the coals of mesquite wood. Underneath the tree are some young teenagers very much in love. My great uncle is comforting my cousin who was crying and encouraging him to hit the piñata. My grandmother is holding a baby. She was always holding the babies and feeding them and putting them to sleep. And that's how it is now. We have big birthday celebrations, usually a family cookout in the backyard. All the grandkids are there, all the children are there. The dads are usually cooking, the grandmothers are usually taking care of the babies. So, this is another story that really just brings back memories and memories that we still do today. The next story is called Easter Eggs, Cascarones. This is my parents' dining room. My mother and brothers and sisters and I are gathered around the table decorating eggshells, cascarones, for Easter Sunday. We would fill them with confetti, which we made by cutting up newspapers and magazines. On Easter Sunday after church, we would go swimming. After swimming, we'd eat, and after eating, we'd bring out the cascarones. We would sneak up on our brothers or sisters or friends and break the cascarones on their heads and rub the confetti into their hair. Sometimes my brothers would put flour into the eggshells so that when they broke them on your wet head, the flour would turn to paste. That's how sneaky my brothers were sometimes. And that's a tradition that my family does. We make cascarones. We fill them up with confetti, and then on Easter, we have a big, huge Easter egg hunt, and then we get to break cascarones on each other's head, and it's fun. It's fun to share that tradition with my children, and then with our nieces and nephews too. The last story that I will be reading is Blessing on the Wedding Day. This is a cousin's wedding. The bridesmaid is waiting to put the veil on the bride. The father is waiting at the doorway. The grandmother is all dressed and ready to go. Then all of a sudden, everyone gets very quiet because the mother of the bride says it's time for her to bless her daughter. She asks the daughter to kneel down on a cushion. The daughter's about to leave her parents' house. This is the mother's opportunity to bless her daughter, give her advice, and send her on the next phase of her life. It's a very special moment. This is what I did 2 years ago when my daughter got married. I gave her blessing. So this is a tradition that was passed down to me, and then I was able to pass down to my daughter, and then someday she'll be able to pass the same tradition down to her daughter. So these are just stories, 4 little stories from the book called In Mi Familia, in my family, that I enjoyed reading to my kids, that I enjoyed reading to my students, and that I hope you would check this book out in your library and read them. Remember, this book is from Carmen Lomas Garza, and also the other book, Family Pictures, CUADROS de Familia, are both from Carmen L. Garza. So I hope you enjoyed these 4 stories, and it's a great day to read to a tiger.